afternoon, everyone. Welcome to how Clio supports payment structures and subscriptions. So before we begin, because the word subscriptions is in my title, I want to say that if you are here to hear very specifically in-depth about subscriptions, I recommend that you go talk to one of our integration partners, Fidu, who can tell you more about that and how they can integrate with Clio in order to enable subscriptions. We're really going to be focused on the payment structure part as well as being fee-forward. So that said, thank you, all of you who are here today. I'm very happy to see some very familiar faces. So my name is Stevie, and I'm excited to talk to you about this concept of being fee-forward. I'm a product design manager here at Clio, and I manage the financial performance plus AI portfolio. So that means that my team of designers and I are responsible for billing, payments, accounting, and AI. But before we dig in, you might be asking, like, what are my qualifications to speak on this subject? And I'll say that although I am not a lawyer, what I'm sharing is in fact informed and vetted by our own lawyer in residence, Joshua Lennon. Secondly, I will be attributing much of what I have to say to the Legal Trends report. You can find that online. And lastly, my team of designers and I have spent a lot of time talking to you, our customers. Some of you have already talked to us or talked to our product managers. And so what I'm sharing is based upon understanding what firms who are our most successful have done to make themselves more profitable in order to reduce those headaches, improve your client relationship, and drive that financial growth. So at the end of this 20-minute talk, you will have an understanding of what payment structures are, how to select the right architecture for your firm, how your current architecture might be working or not, the benefits of being fee-forward, what you should consider before you start, and the Clio features that support them. So let's start by defining what I mean by payment structures. A payment structure is the approach your firm takes to accepting money for services. That's made up of how you measure the value of your services and how you collect on those payments. When you're doing this well, you're balancing both the needs of your firm and the needs of your client. How you measure the value of your services can also be referred to as your billing methods. So you're going to be very familiar with this one, hourly, charging based on the time that you've spent. You've got contingency, payment contingent upon winning, as we know, often a percentage. And then you've got flat fee, which is actually just a version of value-based billing, where you're charging a predetermined fee based upon providing specific services, regardless of the time spent. There's also less common methods like having outcome targets, setting fees based on achieving really specific results. Now, we're really going to focus on this side of the payment structure, how you collect on payments. So what does it mean to be fee-forward? Being fee-forward means you're securing payments before services begin. It can be called advanced billing, early billing. Securing payment before services begin is often done through retainers or those advanced fee deposits into trust. And although these two methods are the most common ones, there are other ways of being fee-forward that Clio supports, including ones that don't involve using trust funds, because we know trust funds can feel really scary. So what are the impacts of being fee-forward on you, your firm, and your clients? It makes you more attractive to your clients and potential clients. Chief among those reasons why people don't get that legal support for legal issues is the fear of those runaway costs. So when you have these predictable, transparent costs up front, it makes your legal services more appealing to clients because it addresses those concerns. They know what they're going to be paying. Secondly, firms that take that payment up front consequently spend less time having to chase down those payments. They have to spend less time on billable work, like following up on invoices, and that frees up more time for your billable tasks, which actually improve your productivity and your efficiency. So this is from the 2018 LTR. We know that 5 to 6 hours of a lawyer's day is spent on a non-billable work. You heard in Jack's keynote yesterday that lawyers are spending a little bit more time on billable work now, but we're still seeing top challenges in billing and collecting payments, with clients not paying on time or firms that take too long to bill those clients for that work. 2024's LTR sees that firms are actually also seeing increasing productivity and efficiency. We know some of this is because of AI, given how many firms are now experimenting with AI. But it's also because more and more firms are billing earlier, collecting upfront, and then spending less time doing billable work. In addition to this, firms that slowly but surely increase that utilization rate, spending more time of their doing the billable work and reducing that 5 to 6 hours of non-billable work, began seeing outsized growth in revenue. In 2019's LTR, over a 5-year period, we saw these firms grow their revenue by 150%. So lastly, there's this one last cold, hard reason to be fee-forward, and that's all about cash, specifically your cash runway. Okay, without opening up a document, messaging someone, do you know how long your firm can operate for if, I'm gonna knock on some wood, clients all of a sudden stop paying and you got no new clients? Many firms find that their cash runway is a lot shorter than they might think or want. So how to calculate your cash runway? It's pretty simple, actually. It's the cash you have on hand divided by the rate at which your business is spending money monthly, otherwise known as your burn rate. So if you actually know and you're keeping track of those total variable and fixed costs, you'll be able to calculate that gross burn rate. If you don't know what your expenses are specifically, you can look at your bank statement, starting and ending balance, and then calculate your net burn rate. Okay. So let's practice. I tried to make it easy math for us. So we're going to practice calculating the cash runway for a certain paper company called Dunder Mifflin. So if Dunder Mifflin has $150,000 in their operating account, and last month's variable expenses equaled $15,000, and their fixed expenses, like rent and staff salaries, cost $35,000, what's their cash runway? Anyone know the answer? 3 months. So Dunder Mifflin's cash runway is 3 months. So we're going to do some double-checking our math here. Cash runway is cash on hand divided by burn rate. Dunder Mifflin has $150,000 of cash on hand, and their gross burn rate is that $15,000 plus $35,000. So $150,000 divided by $50,000 is 3 months. Again, Dunder Mifflin's cash runway is 3 months. They can operate for another 3 months if no new income came in. And that's not great. Ideally, you want a long cash runway, and ideally, even better, an infinite one. So why would you want this? Could seem very logical, but I'm going to spell it out for you. So first of all, it's going to be a lot less stressful for you and your firm. A lot less stress on those lawyers, less pressure on those billable hours. You can attract and retain top legal talent because you are the firm that doesn't burn people out. And you also actually now have more flexibility in actually selecting more fun, more complex, more interesting matters that actually could be more lucrative in that long term. And you can invest in technology that actually improves that efficiency, makes you more productive, and leads to those better client outcomes. And the final thing, you're around to actually help resolve and close out those matters that those clients paid you for. So how do you extend your cash runway indefinitely? You got to push for that positive cash flow. Having an indefinite cash runway relies on having a positive cash flow, meaning you're generating more cash than you're spending. Makes sense. But what factors do you, as a law firm, need to assess your cash flow with? So specifically, that's your realization, your collection, and your total lockup. Your utilization rate is how much of a lawyer's 8-hour workday goes towards billable work. Your realization rate is then how much of that billable work ends up on your client bills. And then your collection rate is how much of those bills actually get paid by clients. And then when you compare yourself against industry benchmarks, you can see how you're actually doing. You can find those areas for improvement. And luckily for you, Clio has this information for you and other industry KPIs all in that legal trends report. So while realization and collection rates are those essential components to a healthy business, they can also only take a law firm so far. Because how quickly and consistently are you getting paid? So for example, a law firm might have a really great long-term realization and collection rate, but they're actually going to suffer short-term if they spend too long waiting to invoice or actually collect on those funds. So they have to pay close attention to doing it quickly and consistently. Far too many firms find that their revenue is held in what we call lockup. And that's that period when billable work has not been invoiced or collected on. So lockup then consists of 3 components. Your realization lockup, that's your work in progress. And that's the amount of revenue that's unbilled at any given time. Your collection lockup, also known as your debtor lockup, is the amount of money that is uncollected at any given time. And then your total lockup. That's the combination of both realization and collection. So by minimizing that lockup, you want a small number, that supports a healthier, more likely to be positive cash flow. So the median lockup among law firms in 2024 is 47 days. And the median collection lockup is 27 days. These calculations, and no, those 2 numbers don't just add up, for medians anyways. These calculations indicate a total lockup of 92 days, meaning 92 divided by 30. At any given time, law firms have performed 3 months of work that has not been billed or collected on. This is, however, actually an improvement. That's an improvement from 97 days of total median lockup from last year. Now, the really good news is that Clio customers have a leg up from all your other peers in the legal industry. Our analysis indicated that Clio customers experience an average lockup period of 43 days shorter than the median lockup period, which takes me to that summary of the 3rd big reason why you should be considering adopting those early billing methods. Fee-forward practices reduce lockup, which increases your cash flow, which increases your cash on hand, which contributes to those longer cash runways, and your overall revenue. And we know that's important because the 2024 LTR confirms that lawyers today agree with those lawyers from 2018 and 2019. The number 1 most important factor representative of firm growth is still revenue. And continuing to increase that revenue is the highest priority to law firms. So to sum it up, the benefits of being fee-forward are be more attractive to your clients, spend less time on billing and collections, and increase revenue and build those infinite cash runways. Is there anyone here that doesn't want these 3 things? Didn't think so. So how can Clio help you become more fee-forward? So first up, retainers. Definitely check the definitions of retainers for your own bar association because multiple definitions exist. But according to the Florida rules of professional conduct, a retainer is the equivalent of a bonus, a signing bonus. It's money paid by a client to secure access to your services and earned upon receipt. So that means it doesn't have to be held in trust, and you can put it into your bank account, into your operating, and used however you want, whether you need to pay for something or a better coffee machine for your staff to keep them happier, or new technology. Another proactive collection method is requesting those fees, advance fees from your clients. Now, again, in most states, this is not to be mistaken with those retainers I just talked about, which, reminder, is earned upon receipt. Advance fees are taking your client's money into trust and billing against that money in the provision of your services. And that's often what you, depending on the terms of your engagement agreement. So Clio's features for sending trust requests and approving and applying trust exist exactly to support that workflow. Depending on what works best for your firm, you can choose to store those trust funds on your client or your matter level, and Clio offers you that flexibility to set it up wherever works best for you, and then gives your clients that flexibility to use their preferred payment method to fill that trust. In fact, 2023's LTR showed that firms that send trust requests have a realization lever gain of 12 percentage points above law firms that don't, meaning 12% more of their billable work is included on client bills. And then to further streamline the management of those client trust funds, this is brand new, protected matter funds. Admins and account owners can take more control over how those trust funds are used, protecting specific amounts for different categories. Clio can further support your early billing through simple payment links. So by generating and sharing a payment link, it allows you to collect upfront without needing to have a bill. You can include it in your engagement letter, which we've seen many of our customers do, so you can begin work right away, or you can take a quick payment through your phone on an Apple or an Android device through Tap to Pay on the Clio mobile app. No bill? No problem. Just link the payment to a client or matter afterwards for your records. You can also use Clio's payment plan features to create subscriptions. So while firms with those clear subscription terms in their engagement agreement can issue an invoice for contracted legal services over a specific future period of time. Simple example, you might offer a client a 12 months of subscription legal services for a total of $12,000. Spread that over 12 months, that's $1,000 monthly. You can set that up in Clio using our payment plan feature. So firms should still deposit those fees into their trust account if it covers the upcoming month's work, but if it's covering past month's work, you can put that into operating. But what if you want to be fee forward without having to use trust or deal with trust accounting regulations? Well, you can request as an alternative to trust funds, client credit card or e-check information, and save it to bill against in the future. So by adding these terms into your agreement letters at the onset of a matter, you avoid having the collection conversation. By holding that client payment information, it allows you to get paid on your own terms, on your own schedule. Issue the invoice and apply the payment. This higher realization rate is actually measurably an 11 percentage point gain above firms that don't use those stored payment methods. So what do you need to set your firm up for success with advanced billing methods? So we've done the math, I've shown you the data, and the benefits seem pretty indisputable. What are some of the factors you need to consider? Well, as we've determined, knowing your cash runway, your cash flow, your utilization, realization, collection, and lockup is critical to monitoring the health of your financial performance. But you can't track these things if you don't have good data. You can't track these things unless you're putting that data into Clio Manage consistently and accurately. So do you have your activity categories set up? Is your staff consistently selecting the right fields. Training your staff can provide you the data that you need in order to actually begin to calculate and know where you are in those benchmarks. And while you're at ClioCon, you can make that appointment with a member of Team Clio in our Clio Success Center to make sure your accounts are set up accurately. You also need to make sure you do know your local and state regulations around trust compliance, and have a process for really good record keeping to help prevent any future disputes. And if you're feeling nervous about trust accounting, we do have Clio certified partners and Clio accounting. It's backed by registered accountants, built for lawyers, making working with trust funds never easier. So lastly, you do need to think about and plan for promotions and bonuses. So while being fee forward can help you reduce that normal cash flow concern with payroll, because you have money in the bank, firms that use those billable hour targets are going to have to determine promotions and bonuses in a different way. Like maybe you want to reduce those expected targets and add other metrics like number of completed flat fee matters or average time per matter. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 key takeaways. Start small and try and experiment. Moving to early billing methods doesn't need to be a whole overhaul of your entire payment structure. You can experiment with flat fees or other billing methods. And while it is true that those short, more discrete transactional practice areas might find it easier to use advanced billing methods, litigators can still mix those billing and collection methods, especially for those really more well-defined scopes of work. You can try it on half your clients, or just one practice area, or even just the next client. Second, do some math for fun. Calculate what a flat fee might look like for you by calculating your average revenue per matter. And then decide on that trial flat fee. If it's reasonable, what's the harm in trying it on your next client? And lastly, mind the flow and watch it grow. If you monitor your cash flow in a consistent way and aim to keep it positive, keep that eye on your realization, your collection, and your total lockup rates, and then know how you're doing against those industry benchmarks. And then assess your need. How far off are you? Are you already at the top of the curve, or do you have a lot of room to still improve? And now lastly, as a designer, I love this question of what if. So let me propose a what if to you. What if clients started to pay for the value of the outcome you get them, and not the value of your time and attention? Or what if you could work less but make more? And this, my friends, is what we hope Being Fee Forward proposes to do for you. So thank you to our partners for their continued support of ClioCon. And thank you, all of you, for your attention and time today. Enjoy the rest of your ClioCon.